Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. The internet is a place where the angry hide. How do I know? Because that's where I used to hide. When the internet came out, I was angry. I was angry a lot about a lot of different things. And so I would hide on the internet. I would hide in Usenet. I'd go to alt.totalloser and rant my ass off, talking about whatever was bugging me. Mostly I was mad at women because I was rejected a lot. I don't think the internet's changed all that much. You know, it's still a place where the angry hide, and they would say things that, on the internet that they would never say to somebody's face. They wouldn't dare, And I think we all need to bear that in mind, since the information age is here and it's going to be a part of humanity from now on. You need to understand that. It's like, who you are when you're interacting with the internet is not the same as who you are when you're interacting with other people. And I think we need to keep that in mind when we make comments on the internet. And stop posting stuff that hurts my feelings. I'm kidding. But there is... The thing about it, though, is that you can also send positive reinforcement with the same alacrity as the hurtful stuff. And so when I get a comment on a video that says, man, keep up the movie reviews, yeah, thanks for the positive reinforcement. I'm glad, I did promise I did say I was going to make a playlist on my channel of just the movie reviews. I understand if you don't want to listen to me rant about who's in the comment section or anything like that. If you don't want to see that, but you do like the movie reviews, it's good. I might as well go ahead and make a little playlist for you guys. I appreciate you watching at all. Thanks so much. This is Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. You can also send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. And you can follow me on social media over here. We need to take down that Shock Monkey Radio Redux thing because that's gone.
What? Oh, the Facebook?
Facebook one. Yeah, I don't know why. What you could argue is like, say, hey, we're shutting down the sound because it gets absolutely no traffic. You could at least send me an email like that. But nothing, not silence from Facebook on that one. Anyway, irritates me. Social media irritates me. And that's the point, is everyone thought, it's like the whole Twitter thing. Oh, they took Trump off of Twitter. And, it's true that like the major companies and say, oh, like, for example, Gavin McInnes can't be on Twitter and so forth. And then like if there's a monopoly on that kind of concept within all social media, then that's a serious problem. But the point is that there's always going to be new social media. There's always going to be new social media platforms. And people are already getting bored of like Facebook. They're going to move on to different, and then, free speech is going to live no matter what. And so we just got to keep fighting the good fight, I guess. So it doesn't break my heart. It's like when they took that video down off my channel. I was like, I'll make more. Tomorrow I might say something as offensive as, Eva, get back in the car.
Get back in the car.
Get back in the car, Eva. We were making jokes about Hitler. And so you got to take that down.
Jokes about how he pissed off his girlfriend.
Right.
And that she was
right.
leaving him.
Like, because he was a person and, probably fought with his girlfriend. What an asshole he was is like, I understand who he is, but that's kind of why it's funny.
He's the kind of guy whose girlfriend would get so mad.
We're going to get shut down.
She would get out on the side of the car.
Yeah. That was the joke. But no, you can't make jokes about Hitler. Like, why not? You got to laugh to keep from crying. What a shithead he was. Holy cow, it's been hot. It has been hot. And people are always like, oh, see, it's global warming, man. It's global warming, man. And it's like, get bent. I remember being a kid in the 80s and there being heat waves in the summer. Okay. I remember kids passing out when George Bush came to talk to my this place in Georgia I was at. Because of the heat, because it was over 100 degrees, you know what I'm saying? Heat waves have always been around. There's always been summer. You know, they don't talk about global warming in winter, but it has been hot. It's been a heat wave. It's been a nightmare. And it's that kind of heat that just sucks the energy right out of you. It just makes you step outside, you sweat for 5 or 6 seconds. You come in just to having a cigarette, and you feel like you got to take a shower because it's also very humid. You know, holy cow, it's been hot. And, you know, it's like my dad always said to me when I was a kid, you know, fatigue makes cowards of us all. I think it's something he got in the Marine Corps. I don't know. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. And when it's hot and you're thirsty and you're sweating, whew, that fatigue really, that fatigue game is way amped up. And so it's been that kind of hot lately. I hope you're staying cool. I hope you are. We'll come back around to that here in a minute. Stay hydrated. Like me. Now you're cool. Now you're cool like me. Yeah, drink water. Do we talk much about the competence crisis, the crisis of incompetence? I know that some of you know about Gavin McInnes, and he talks about the competence crisis, you know, and people are, you know, because of things like, you know, like DIE. Excuse me. DEI. Sorry, I had a Marxist frog in my throat. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, because of stuff like that, because they're hiring people based upon their, you know, immutable characteristics and not merit and know how good they are at the job or their education and so forth. And that's why you get like doors falling off of airplanes and so forth, or, you know, a ship running into a bridge and knocking it down. It's like that's the competence crisis. It's like nobody really cares about their job anymore. You know, they don't want to put in the hard work, and work should be hard. You know, especially important work should be hard. And, you know, I guess maybe it's, I feel like berating myself today, but we're going to be talking about my crisis of incompetence and why, you know, why technology has made us all incredibly lazy. And so, EK and I were talking about like the side project. We could do a side project. And we're like, it was like, man, Madman, all you got to do is get all that stuff that's in your head and type it into a computer. You type it into a computer, and I can do this with that. You know. And I'm like, yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. But at the same time, maybe it's the heat. I don't want to blame it all on 9/11. Could be the heat. But I get there and I stare at a blank screen, and I could be like, I really don't feel like doing this. I'd rather just talk. As a matter of fact, that's why I'm doing this now. That's why I'm doing this show now. Because I was like, man, writing books is hard. It's hard in comparison to this. I don't have to edit this, you know? I'll make fun of other people's, when we do the news, I'll make fun of other people's grammar and so forth, and spelling errors and punctuation errors. But I don't have to do that here. That's the best part about not writing a book. And sometimes I'm very thankful that my book sales didn't like go through the roof and people are like, we want another book. And I was like, man, that's a lot of work, a lot of editing. And so the internet age has made me lazy to some degree. And I'm ashamed of that. I should be ashamed of that because it doesn't allow me to access my full creative potential. And that upsets me. You know, and it's funny because it's the opposite of teenage me. Teenage me, before the internet, if I had a blank piece of paper in front of me, I'm writing some sappy love poem on it. It's just who I was. I'm sorry. There's this girl I had a crush on, and I kept writing poems about her. That was me. Blank piece of paper, poem about Casey. Math notes, poem about Casey. Social studies notes, poem about Casey. It was awful. I couldn't get stuff out of my head fast enough. And so I learned to type, and I typed very fast. And I do, but even that is making me like looking into voice software, voice recognition software, so I could just talk and the computer picks it up. But then I'm gonna, I got to get the software. I got to teach it to, understand my certain foibles. And plus, I think from what I understand, if the program makes an error, you got to do stuff like stop, back 2 words. That change word to. No, not money, monkey. Not money, monkey. Stuff like that. And that's, I don't know, it's a whole, learning curve. And it's because I guess I'm getting older. I don't want to learn new things. You got this fancy new camera, and I don't want to learn anything new. It's like, you tell me all the stuff it does. As long as I don't have to learn the app, how to work it, I'm fine. That's the crisis of incompetence. Even I don't hold myself to that standard. And we need to hold ourselves, all of ourselves, to a higher standard. You deserve better. I deserve better. Hell, EK deserves better. Yes, even EK deserves better. So try harder. Hey man, sometimes people say that these movies we make, they're dirty or something. Well, I don't believe that. I'm going to keep rock and rolling, man. I'll keep working hard if you guys keep working hard. Let's do this, man. Let's rock and roll, man. The stuff that's in my head. Dirk Diggler's acceptance speech. See, that's the problem. That's why I ended up being a writer, is just the stuff in my head. It's been a while since we did a How to Man Up. And boy, did I realize that I need to learn to man up. How to man up? Learn how to fix your air conditioner. Willis Carrier is long dead, and it is up to us, men, to keep up the technology that is air conditioning. All right? Because it's incredibly important. And let me tell you how I failed to be a man this past weekend. I had a bunch of stuff down in my basement I needed to get rid of, and I had my friend come over with his truck. And you know how guys with trucks are. They always have a toolbox and tools. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not mechanically inclined in any way. And so all I asked him to do was come over and help me take stuff from out of my basement, some stuff from out of the yard, and help me take it to the dump. And he's like, oh, okay. So we're moving stuff out of the basement. And he looks at my air conditioner. He's like, oh, your AC's leaking. I was like, yeah, it's been leaking for a while. I don't know what to do about it. And so all of a sudden he got very interested in the AC unit because that was the interesting problem to him. And so I was left carrying stuff out to the car, and he's asking me for tools. I have a couple tools, but it's all basically tools for taking apart computers and stuff like that, not like HVAC systems. So he starts taking apart this AC unit, and he realizes that it's there's a problem. It's like it's not draining properly. And so when it comes to manning up, this is what I learned this weekend. I didn't know how an air conditioner works. All right. So based on my understanding, it all starts here at number 1, over here at number 1, and that's the accumulator. And that's where the magic starts to accumulate. Then you see it goes up to the compressor where the magic is then compressed and then sent over to the oil separator where the oil is separated from the magic. Then the magic goes down all the way to the condenser because now you want to condense the magic. All right. It's different than compressing. You compress the magic. Now you need to condense it, but you have to separate the oil in between these two processes. All right. Then it goes through another filter and a dryer, and then it goes down these capillary tubes and fills up this evaporator, and the evaporator evaporates the magic. What's up with this new robotic camera, man? I thought you said it was smart.
There's if you make an L symbol with your hand,
will it really?
Zoom in and zoom out gesture. So if you do this or this,
dude, AI is the devil. What the hell? You showed the wizard behind the curtain, for God's sake. All right, then the magic goes into the evaporator, and that cools the air, from what I understand, and the byproduct is water. All right, and then there's a fan that blows the air, through the house. So that's very high, obviously very highly technical explanation of what it actually is. So, I mean, you can look it up and figure it out on your own. But, I mean, it's just Willis Carrier, he was a wizard, man. He was a sorcerer. Willis Carrier, the sorcerer. I cannot get those out of the shot. Let's try over here. You know, and my friend, stop that. Did the camera do that, or are you doing it?
That's
okay, that was you? All right. Damn AI.
Can't get these things out of the shot. And then the camera.
Quit listening to me, camera. Just show what you see. But my friend Robert, he came over. He was a genius. He's like, we got to cut that open so we could see what's in there. And I was like, what do you mean cut that open? He's like, you see that tape that's around the... He's like, oh, that is tape. What is that? He goes, that's like an access patch so you can look down in that little reservoir there. And I was like, oh, okay. So he cut it open and was like, oh, I'll be darned, there's a reservoir and there was a bunch of water in it. And so he's like, do you have a little tube? I could siphon it down. And I was like, what? Because if you had like a little like piece of rubber tubing or a short hose or something, I don't have anything like that. And he's like, you got that hula hoop over there. Do you need that? And I was like, what are you up to? What are you up to? It's like, no, I don't need the hula hoop. I can never work that damn thing. And so he cuts open the hula hoop and he takes it to the bathroom and like fills it up with water, takes it and like puts one end by the drain and one end into the water, creates a little suction, a little siphon action going. And we both got to sit there and hold the hula hoop down. So the water starts siphoning out of the reservoir of the AC unit and into the drain. It was brilliant. I felt emasculated. I felt like less of a man because I could not figure this out. I'm just not built for it. All right. And not only did he help me with this, he went home and like an hour later came back and he had a shop vac and a fan so he could help me get the rest of the water out with the shop vac and dry out the thing. He also fixed the drainage thing where the leak was coming from by putting, I learned a new phrase, plumber's tape. So he put some like plumber's tape around the thing and it seems to have fixed the problem. And so not only is he like emasculated me, he had to prove to me he's such a good friend that here you go, you dumb guy. My fellow, like almost like I know you don't ever thought to buy a shop vac, but here's a shop vac and a fan. Because I didn't even have a flashlight. He's like, you have a flashlight so we can look in here? Yeah, I don't even have one on my phone. He's like, you don't? I was like, no, I can't find it. It used to be on there. I don't know where it is now. It's like the Facebook thing. Stuff's disappearing. Or maybe I'm hallucinating apps. I don't know. But the point is that in order to be a man, you need to learn how to fix your air conditioning. I know it's if the air conditioner is leaking and it's just not pumping the cool air out on the middle of a heat wave, in the middle of a heat wave, you get highly motivated to fix the AC. And so you'll be sitting there Googling stuff and realize that Willis Carrier was a sorcerer. How you feeling over there, EK? You all right?
Pretty good.
Okay. Now to those people who like the movie reviews, let's talk about movie reviews. First movie I want to review is Star Trek, the 2009 one, a new one, of the new series, I guess. You know the one. And I was looking at this. I was looking for pictures, and I found this one. And I was like, "That's a good promo shot for the thing, the movie." Because, it doesn't show any actors yet, so you still have plenty of time. You still had plenty of time to recast. You still had plenty of time. And I will say, of this new Star Trek series, I do like the idea. It's like, okay, it's your own thing. It's this alternate version, alternate reality of the Star Trek universe. I'm down with that. I'm okay with it. All right. But, it all kind of hinges on the characters. And the casting director, 9, let's be honest, 11, 12 or 13 stars when it comes to casting. I think everyone, except for one of them, was fantastic casting. Zoe Saldana as Uhura. Number one, she's smoking hot, and I love everything she's in because she's smoking hot. What's his name? Judge Dredd as Henry McCoy. And McCoy was my favorite character. Oh, no, it wasn't. It's my second favorite character in these movies. All right, because Scotty's my man. I love Scotty's my man. Because Simon Pegg played Scotty, and Simon Pegg was good casting in that regard. Harold from Harold and Kumar playing Sulu, that good casting. And even that poor guy who died recently, who played Chekhov, played an excellent version of Chekhov. And the guy who played Spock was just fantastic. That was on the nose casting with that guy. He's that guy that played like Silas in Heroes or whatever.
Yeah.
He is the only character I remember from that show because he was so fantastic in that show. And so that was excellent casting as Spock. However, you had plenty of time to pick someone other than Chris Pine for Captain James Tiberius Kirk. I really don't know why Chris Pine... Well, I know why. He's got real stunning blue eyes and blonde hair, and ooh, he's a good-looking guy. But, you know, he is the most wooden-faced actor I've ever seen lately. In fact, he's not an actor, you know? Shatner, for God's sakes, was a charming, soft-faced kind of guy. Not a chiseled, hard-jawed, hey, I look like a supermodel kind of guy. You know, Shatner, as Kirk, was charming even to other men, you know? Even the women that he didn't want to bang on the ship. You know, he had the soft smile, he had a kind of gentle demeanor, you know, even though he would take his shirt off and fight Gorn every now and then. All right? And Chris Pine does not capture any of the aspects of what I wanted Captain James Tiberius Kirk to be. I understand he's a little rebellious, and he starts out with the movie as him as a kid, and you know his dad, much better actor, who played his dad. Who was that? Was that Channing Tatum in the beginning that played his dad? Who was that?
You might be right.
Was it Channing Tatum? Let's see. Star Trek cast, 2009 cast. Let's look at it. Was it Channing Tatum? Carl Urban. See up. Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, you had a much better actor playing Kirk's dad. And you could have had Thor. And I would have been okay with that because Chris Hemsworth can act. And Chris, it may have been the writing, but I didn't like James Kirk because of these movies, the way Kirk was portrayed in these movies. I like Spock. I think Spock was done quite well. I think Scotty was done quite well. I think every single other character was done quite well except for James Tiberius Kirk. I wonder if Shatner ever made this particular rant. And here's another thing when it comes to Spock. After seeing this movie, this was the first time I ever thought maybe Spock is autistic and nobody notices because he's Vulcan, half Vulcan. You think that might be possible? Or maybe Vulcan is just a planet full of, like, autistic people. Logic. Definitely got to trust logic. Speaking of half Vulcans, I know Leonard Nimoy is a legend when it comes to the Star Trek universe. God rest his soul. All right. However, let's not kid ourselves. He was one trick pony. This is the only real thing he ever did, and I don't know why they had to crowbar him into these movies. All right? Constantly showing up, saying, oh, I know all I said back then about the Prime Directive, and we shouldn't change our destinies and stuff like that. But here's some very important information you're going to need for the plot, so that you don't get killed by these fantastic, amazing, crazy villains that you're going to be fighting in these movies. Let's talk about the villain of this movie, Nero. You got a Star Trek The Next Generation villain coming to bringing it back into the past to fight these guys. That set of their ship and those characters, those Romulan rebels and so forth, that's all straight from The Next Generation. And you got like the original series over here trying to fight him. All right? It was so weird. Eric Bana, what? He phoned that in. And that one scene, I remember like that where they first greet each other on the view screen. It just, hello. Was that in the script? I hope not. I hope that was improvised. Eric Bana. What was that movie I saw with him and Hannah? Ridiculous. Just because he played the Hulk doesn't mean the girl has Hulk DNA anyway.
Did you watch that movie?
Yeah.
That's not how she got her power.
I know. I don't want to argue. This one guy commented on my comment of that movie, and I don't want to argue with it. All right, here we are in the middle of a separate movie review, in the middle of the Star Trek movie review. And the argument about Hannah was like, I am sick and tired of a 90-pound soaking wet woman kicking the crap out of everybody, out killing everybody, snapping people's necks when you're in there. Well, she's like a genetic super soldier. What do you expect? And what I expect is if you're a genetic super soldier, you need to have height, bulk, weight, strength, muscles. You know what I'm talking about? You wouldn't be 90 pounds soaking wet, a frail little skinny girl snapping people's necks. We're not reviewing that movie. All right. So I hate the aspect of that Leonard Nimoy gets involved. I hated the villain, Nero. Because he was so mad at Spock that he wanted to like piss off as many Spocks as possible. I'm kind of surprised if he had all that time waiting for Spock to come through. He didn't send people out to like travel through alternate realities and time. Go and capture as many versions of Spock as you can, so he could stick them all on this planet and watch him, make him watch his planet get destroyed. Oh, spoiler! Vulcan gets destroyed. Wow, new direction this series is taking. Anyway, it's a next generation plot with the original series group. All right. Hey, why are the phasers like blasters now? They used to be just, which, if you makes more sense when it comes to targeting. You would miss a lot. You wouldn't miss as often. You know, it wouldn't waste energy. You know, because let's be honest, the phaser energy comes from somewhere. And if you follow the Star Trek universe, you know that comes from, you know, the warp core and the impulse engines and so forth. Power is generated by the ship's engines. And you have a limited amount of power that you could generate every cycle, as they might say. So I don't understand why the phasers are like pew, 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 pew now and not just... Don't like that aspect. All right. I know I'm a Trekkie. I'm not saying I'm not. And a lot of what I love about Star Trek is how I hate on it. All right? 5 of 13 stars, the 2009 Star Trek movie. Terrible, terrible way to start this franchise, to reboot this. It was awful. And I remember being like, when I first saw it in theaters, and it was like, oh, the overexposed thing. That looks kind of cool. Now it just likes horrible photography. Anyway. Star Trek. Ooh.
Second review?
Yeah, I'm doing Star Trek 2 as well. Khan's Vengeance. Oh, no. It should have been called Khan's Vengeance. But instead it was called Into Darkness. Why? Because you didn't want to give it up. You didn't want to do the reveal too quickly, right? You didn't want people to think. You want people in the theater going, it's gone! But this movie is way better. Way, way better than the first one. And some people say, like, sometimes the sequels are better. And this is definitely the case. First of all, you could tell, just from these stills from the movie, a lot of fantastic visual effects and situations. You know, that opening sequence, I really like the opening sequence because it comes in like at the climax of a Star Trek episode, right? And it's like Kirk and McCoy are trying to sneak and get these people away from the volcano, and Spock's at the volcano trying to stop the volcano without revealing to them that they're affecting, you know, this primitive culture. All right, the Prime Directive and all that. And like them running through this red forest and stuff like that, and those white-skinned people, and then Spock, you know, the volcanoes going off around him, and willing to give up his life, willing to give up his life for the mission and for the secrecy of the mission to protect the Prime Directive. And that's why I like Spock, is like that guy is committed 100%. And and of course you got Uhura being a badass, and she's henpecking Spock a little bit in this, where they had that argument about, you didn't think about us when you were at the volcano. I was like, oh God. We don't need that. And the audience, as the captain, is stuck in that argument. It's like, we don't have to have this conversation. All right. So, yeah, it should have been called Khan's Vengeance or something like that. And speaking of Khan, his plan was brilliant. It really was good. And I think that's very important for every single movie when you have a bad guy. It's like you have to have a villain that has a very competent plan, and he sure did. And you know, I love when the antagonist gets way out ahead of the protagonist, because you know, it creates a sense of urgency. You know, it creates a sense of tension. It's what some people would call good writing. So yeah, like I mentioned, I love Scotty in these movies, and I particularly love Scotty in this one. The one scene where they're bringing all these torpedoes aboard, and if you know the movie, you know what they actually are. They're bringing the torpedoes aboard, and Scotty has to do an inspection. That's his duty. It's like, I have to inspect these proton torpedoes. These are the rules. These are my duties and my requirements. I'm going to do it. And they're saying, it's classified. You can't look inside them. So Scotty's under protest. Is like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not signing for these torpedoes until I inspect them. So he ends up resigning from Starfleet. It's a sad moment, but I gotta give it to you, Scotty. You know, standing up for your principles. That's, that's what makes a hero, and that's why I love it. I love it. It's very get fired, get in trouble, be brave, and never stop fighting of you. Even though I don't agree with Scotty's philosophy about the purpose of Starfleet. All right, because he's sitting there, even in that conversation, making an argument. I thought we were explorers, not a war fighters. And it's like, dude, do you even know how stupid you sound? You know that Romulans exist, right? You know that Klingons exist, right? And you just want to fly around the galaxy, flowers in hand, say, hey, man, we just want to look at stuff. Is that cool with you? You know, and what do you think the Klingons think of us? What would you think the Klingons think of us? What? You want to just fly around and look at something? Yeah, we totally haven't seen a star like this before, man. And this is what you and your species like to do with your time, is it? Kill them and throw them out of our system. I'm forgetting the name of the Klingon homeworld. Kronos? It's in there somewhere. All right. And so how do you think they look at it? To them, like our entire species are soy boy betas. You know what I mean? So you can't think of Star. This is the whole philosophy of Star Trek is what I have issue with. It's like, oh, we're explorers, we're diplomatic ships. And it's like, no, you got to be warfighters if there's people going to war with you all the time. Don't put civilians on the ship too. God, no wonder they want war with us. We look like wusses. All right. Leonard Nimoy, of course, had to make another cameo. God rest his soul, I understand, but he showed up to say, well, I once made a vow that I would never violate the Prime Directive or get in the way of your destiny and your own timeline. That being said, Khan Noonan Singh is the most crazy badass we've ever seen in our entire lives. You should watch your asses. All right, and they should, because Khan is an excellent villain, and I'm glad they got a good actor, Benedict Cumberbatch, good actor, but it's irritating, the irony from the opening scene where the young Spock has an argument with Kirk about violating the Prime Directive in that opening scene, and then at the end, in the middle or whatever, right before the third act, that's when old Spock goes, I know I shouldn't violate the Prime Directive, but here's the cheat codes to win the game. Anyway, yeah. I'm trying to understand what too many Trekkies kissed his hippie ass. I think I'm talking about Leonard Nimoy. Yeah. Okay. Star Trek Into Darkness, 2013 movie. 9 of 13 stars. Much better. Much better. I have seen the third one. I'm not going to talk about it today. Instead, we're going to get into the news worth knowing. Holy hell! News worth knowing. Quickly. I was like, I'm not going to have enough to fill time today.
Funny.